And we are on Stormwatch this evening. Here's what things look like right now on the radar and on the ground. The gray clouds thickening, rain just starting to fall in San Francisco. In Oakland, we're keeping a close eye on the hills where a flash flood watch was issued in just the past hour. Storm clouds gathering in the South Bay. This is San Jose. It's threatening to unleash torrents of rain in the mountains to the south. And from the heavy rain and high winds to the threat of mudslides near Bay Area burn scars, our team out covering it all, starting with Chief Meteorologist Paul Hagan.
Ellen, we're seeing that rain spreading across most of the Bay Area at this point, and there's even a little bit of wintry precipitation in the Diablo Range. But while it started as light rain for the majority of us, now it's becoming moderate rain. We're going to zoom in for a closer look coming up during our main weather segment in about 10 minutes or so, but I want to give you a sense of the overall scope of this system. Tons of snow farther north. As close to us as Lake County, but there's more moisture offshore. It's going to be surging in, and the rain is just going to get heavier as we head through this evening. Let's get the nastiest weather in terms of both the rain and the wind is going to be between about 9 o'clock this evening and 1 o'clock Wednesday morning. Adding up just tonight's rain with this cold front moving through. There's more to come Wednesday, Thursday, even into Friday, but we're talking about 1 inch to 1.5 inches, even close to 2 inches of total rainfall. And some of that heaviest rain is adding up near some of those Bay Area burn scars, and that brings in the possibility of debris flows and mudslides. So there is a flash flood watch that's in effect. This goes all the way through Thursday afternoon. We're going to add up the totality of the rain in that time frame also coming up in just a few minutes. But all of these areas, you need to be aware of not just the debris flow possibilities, but also the potential for some poorly drained areas to become flooded as well. In addition to the rain, high winds. A high wind warning is in effect along the coast and also includes Solano County. This is where we could get 60 to 70 mile-an-hour wind gusts later this evening. The rest of the Bay Area is included in a wind advisory. Maybe not up to 70 miles an hour, but wind gusts easily in the 50 to 60 mile-an-hour range are likely as we head through this evening and the early hours of tonight. So be prepared for power outages, even if you don't live in a flood-prone area or near one of those Bay Area burn scars where we're most concerned about mudslides. We'll take a closer look at the radar, and we'll have a look at Futurecast when all this is going to move through, coming up a little later on.
All right, Paul, thank you. In just the past 30 minutes, emergency officials wrapped up a briefing on evacuations in the Santa Cruz Mountains. Hundreds have already arrived at the county's 3 evacuation centers. At least 5,000 people living in and around the massive CZU fire burn scar area have been ordered out ahead of the heavy rains and potential mudslides that may follow. But as KPIX 5's Devin Feely reports from Boulder Creek, some are choosing to stay put. Devin?
Yeah, sheriff's deputies finished going door to door this morning. Now, a deputy told me that about 80% of the people in the evacuation zone had indicated that they intend to leave. But for those who are deciding to stick around, they are getting ready for what could be a rough couple of days.
We had a couple of neighbors that lost their houses.
Despite living in the middle of the burn scar of the wildfire that devastated Boulder Creek this summer, Colin Moyer says he's made a calculated decision to stay in his home, defying, for now, evacuation orders.
We weren't too concerned about our house being in an area that's going to get destroyed. We're more worried about being stuck for a few days, but the reason we moved to the mountains was to be in the mountains.
Emergency managers say they're concerned the charred and blackened landscape from the CZU fire has left the area especially vulnerable to flooding and to mudslides. Sheriff's deputies went door to door warning people to leave. They say it's not humanly possible to protect your home from a wall of mud.
If you hear something coming down the hill at you, it's too late. The only thing to do is just get out of the way right now.
For Boulder Creek residents who aren't directly threatened by mudslides, this was a day to prepare, to stock up, to pack, and be ready to leave if the time comes.
We're 4.5 miles north of town, and there's burn scars along Highway 9. So there's a potential for mudslide there. So I just figured I'll just pick some stuff up. Our refrigerator is actually pretty empty.
The people who've chosen to live in the mountains are tough and self-reliant and battle-tested. And after a year that's brought them fires and a pandemic and now potentially mudslides, their humor, like their hills, tend to be a bit dark.
I packed everything. And I packed a bottle of vodka for me, too. I'm going to have one last drink if I'm going to burn up or mudslide away.
Now, Devin, this is technically a mandatory evacuation order. Why aren't the holdouts being forced to leave or even possibly arrested?
Yeah, it is a mandatory evacuation order, but understand the predicament that sheriff's deputies are in. They're not going to drag somebody forcibly out of their home. But if you decide to stay in a mandatory evacuation zone, you do so with the understanding that you're basically on your own. And if you need help, it may not get there, or it may not get there quickly. Yeah,
it's a dangerous risk, that's for sure. All right, Devin, thank you. Well, extra resources are being sent to Santa Cruz County from other parts of the Bay Area, including this 30-person urban search and rescue team from Marin. It includes a pair of canines.